Okay, Google, fix your phone. Okay, what do I mean by that? I mean that the Pixel is not the smartphone that it was once promised it was going to be. I come from the Nexus 6P, which is not technically part of the Pixel family, but I like to think that it is. It was my first Google phone, and I loved it. It did everything really, really well. It had a fantastic camera. I got all the security updates. It was made out of aluminum, and it just felt really cool. I didn't have any of the problems that everyone said that they had experienced. And I got my first strike of betrayal from Google the following year when they announced the Pixel phones. It was basically the Nexus 6P, but with some Pixel features and some really cool software stuff going on. So I stuck with my 6P. It wasn't until about 2 years later that I had been swooned by OnePlus. Everything that they'd been talking about for the OnePlus 5 just made sense, and at an affordable cost. So I got it. And for some time, everything was great. It had pretty much stock Android with some really cool software features. It has really sleek, it was snappy, performed, and more phones should have an alert slider. But there was one thing that just wasn't cutting it for me. The camera. And I thought about Google again. What was that Pixel thing that they were talking about? And I was officially introduced to the Pixel family through the Google Pixel 3a XL. And this phone felt like the true successor to my Nexus 6P. It still took those amazing, eye-catching photos that were vibrant and lively, and its battery life was easily all day. But after a couple of years of mid-range smartphones, I wanted to know what was the premium side of Pixel. A couple months had passed and the Pixel 4 was announced, and on paper, this was going to be the one. It had face unlock, a better camera, a 90Hz refresh rate screen. This was it. And now I have my Pixel 4 XL, the Google phone made the Google way, which is something they've been marketing for a while. But I don't think this is exactly the phone that they started to advertise that tried to sway me away from my Nexus 6P. And I think one of the biggest things is the free unlimited photos and video backup storage. This was one of the biggest things that they had offered. And now, 4 years down the line, I have the same version of Google Photos as every other smartphone does. Sony, Samsung, LG, hell, even Apple has the same version of Google Photos that we do. They're no longer uploaded in their original format. And I understand that this is a move to push more Google One subscription features, but as something that was so crucial to the original Pixel 1, 2, and 3, this just feels like a really big loss for the Pixel lineup. And the other half of it is the camera. The best rated smartphone camera by DxOMark, which is a topic of its own thing, but this was the king of smartphone photography. And at the earliest days, it was. And the next year when they introduced Night Sight, it solidified its place at the top. But a few years later, Samsung and Apple and other manufacturers have introduced a night mode of their own, added more camera lenses for versatile shooting, and even improved their video quality, which feels like something that Pixel hasn't been focused on for a while. And I don't think that claim reigns true anymore. And those two things were crucial together. A fantastic camera and unlimited storage for your photos. Hell, that's why Google felt comfortable sending a 64GB non-expandable memory phone out, because you would take your photos and back them up and have more room for photos again. But now, that experience is the same on any other smartphone, some with even an expandable memory and more cameras on it. But we're not going to pretend that the camera is the only thing that makes it a Google phone. Google still has software. And I want to start off by saying that call screening is one of my most favorite features. For those of you who don't know what call screening is, anytime you get a call, you have the option to let your assistant answer it. And you will get a live transcript of what the other person is saying and options for what you want your Google Assistant to say. And I am not exaggerating when I say that I use this almost every day. And another thing, accessing the Google Assistant is so easy and so fast. It is amazing. I constantly squeeze the phone just to set a timer, or to ask for directions to go somewhere, or to call a place. It really feels premium. It really feels like I have an assistant in my pocket. Then there's also other features like the voice recorder. Don't get me wrong, the voice recorder is absolutely extraordinary at what it does. It's able to identify what it's listening to and to live transcribe words that is being said. I personally don't have a use for it, but these types of things in the Pixel phone clearly show that Google knows what they're doing when it comes to software. But we come back to the rough patches on the Pixel 4. This year, they introduced Face Unlock as a biometric to unlock your phone, and it works really, really quickly. It works really fast and really well, and I don't have any problems with it. But the implementation is not so good. For several months now, there have been several apps that still do not support Face Unlock. Like my banking app, for example, and it makes me type in my password manually every single time. Now that sounds like a 21st century problem, yeah, but Apple was a lot more cutthroat when it came to Face ID. So when the iPhone X came out, almost all the apps just worked with Face ID. And this makes me feel like the developers don't even take Google's idea seriously either. It's so much longer down the road and we still don't have that type of support. Oh yeah, and you can unlock your face with your eyes closed. Now that's not a big thing for me personally, but I know that that's something that bothers other people. I mean, it makes it feel like it's a little bit half-baked since Apple understood that that was a big enough security flaw for them not to leave it on the iPhone X when it first launched. I mentioned that Face Unlock works really well, and partially that is due to the new onboard Soli chip. It's a radar chip that basically detects motion around it and even specific movements. It is this Soli radar chip that powers Motion Sense, which allows you to use it to swipe and dismiss phone calls, snooze or dismiss alarms, and even music playback control. In a word, it's finicky, but it has its moments. I have a Pixel stand, and when an alarm wakes me up in the morning, it feels so satisfying to dismiss it away. It feels like something that you'd imagine a movie in the 80s imagined in 2020. It's really convenient and it's really cool. It's those music controls that aren't good. I appreciate Google for expanding support for Motion Sense for not only just Google-owned applications, but it's very hit or miss. I can hit a stride of swiping away songs and it feels awesome, but after I try and do it once or twice and it doesn't work, it makes me feel like there's gotta be an easier way to do this. And only recently did we just get an update that allows you to actually pause and play the music. At launch, it was just changing songs. It's this type of release it and then iterate it till it's functional type of mentality that makes me feel like this feature was half-baked. And I don't want to think that that's what the Google Wave really is. Another example of something that feels half-baked is the 90 Hz refresh rate screen. It isn't on all the time. And it wasn't until an update a couple months into the phone that they decided how to dynamically refresh the screen a little bit better. But that's another example of figuring it out later. I understand why they did this to fix the battery life, but OnePlus has been managing to keep their 90 Hz refresh rate on all the time and have fantastic battery life. Even after all of these updates and compromises, I still managed to get about 4 hours of screen on time through the entire day. I don't think Google knows what a premium smartphone is supposed to be. At a starting price of $800 for the 4 and $900 for the Pixel 4 XL, I don't know who this phone is for. And it's getting increasingly hard to recommend the phone when its biggest features to me is screen calling and stock Android updates, when even the OnePlus has a very good near stock Android experience. I mean, I would rather get more storage with expandable memory with a triple camera system that has a Pro mode for around the same price, or I could just get a better smartphone similar to the Pixel 4 for less. And this makes me think that they don't know what a premium smartphone is. But this doesn't make me think that the Google Wave is lost. The Google Pixel 3a was a smartphone that I can easily recommend for its price range. It has all of the amazing Google software features that I mentioned loving, and it has that fantastic camera. But because it's no longer competing with the flagship prices, it doesn't disappoint. The Pixel 3a XL's battery life was phenomenal, especially compared to the 4 XL that I have right now. With all the rumors of the new Pixel 4a coming out, it seems very promising, and I'm honestly excited to see what Google has in store next. There are even rumors about the Google Pixel 5. Yes, the 5. Not going to have Qualcomm's latest flagship processor in it. And while it is a little bit disappointing to know that the latest Pixel won't be a flagship, It's exciting to know that maybe Google knows what I've been discussing in this video. That the Google way is about putting an amazing camera with great reliable software at an affordable price. It's about putting the Google Assistant in everyone's pockets. So, we'll just have to wait until next October to see. Okay, Google, set a reminder for October.